What is up, guys? This is Mark with the mic with a brand new podcast for you guys. This is the Game of Rage podcast.
I'm actually very excited about this
Yes.
podcast. When you brought this to my attention and you were like, yo, we should really do a retro video game podcast, I was like, what is more us besides Power Rangers, besides the Morphin Cast?
Yeah. Gaming.
What have we always talked about throughout our time of knowing each other? It's been games,
Yeah.
video games.
So
So,
we took about an hour to figure out the name, and now we have a podcast for you guys. This is all will be all retro gaming. We'll talk about some of the new stuff, but it'll be more dominantly by retro gaming and stuff like that. The Game of Rage, I think it fits because again, I think all of us are fans of the Streets of Rage series as well.
I definitely am, and I'm still eager and anxious to play the Simpsons version
Yeah.
of Streets of Rage that I have, which I have not got to play yet. You know, shouts out to Game On.
Yeah.
This we if you checked our previous cast and everything that we've done so far up to this point, you know, we always give a shout and a nod out to Game On, which is a retro video game store out on Long Island.
Yes.
They, you know, every time I'm in there, you know, like I discover something new. And when I brought you over there for my birthday, you came out for my birthday.
Yeah.
And we both collectively were like, let's get these modified games, which is The Simpsons as, you know, the Streets of Rage characters, and also the Ninja Turtles
Yes.
as the Streets of Rage
I
characters.
have beaten
which,
the Ninja Turtle one.
I know you told me it was good, but I heard the Simpsons one is better.
I heard the Simpsons one plays very similar to the Simpsons arcade game. Like the characters moves very similar. As in the Turtles, they play, but like you can't pick up weapons. What the weapons do is just gives you power up. Like you're stronger than before. So like if you pick up a knife, your hit will be stronger.
See, like the reason why my Sega hasn't been out is I don't have as many games in Sega as I do in my other consoles. You know what I mean? Like, I own basically almost every single console, Americanized consoles, should I say, because
Yeah.
there are so many different generations of consoles that you wouldn't even see over here. But Americanized consoles, I own basically almost every single one. So the ones that I'm fixated on right now is I always have my Super Nintendo hooked up. And recently I've been collecting a lot of the PlayStation 1.
Okay.
So I've been playing PlayStation 1. I got my little boob tube in the corner. I got my little retro video game corner. It's pretty cool. But so that's why I haven't got to play that Simpsons Streets of Rage
Yeah.
yet.
So,
You know what I mean?
all right. So, what year? Let's start with the basic questions of a retro game. What year started your love for gaming? Or who
All right,
was the influential person of?
All right. Well, see, like me growing up, I never owned like an actual console. Like it was mine owned. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
either my mother bought it for me or I bought it from somewhere else. When I was a kid, I didn't own a console.
Yeah.
My stepfather, my brother's dad,
Yeah.
he had an NES. So I remember I grew up on Long Island, but for a short period of time I moved to Florida.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Florida, I was 5 years old. I lived in Hollywood, Florida, and that's where my first memories of actually playing video games really came from. Like I had Mario, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just regular Mario, and we had Bubble Bobble.
Bubble Bobble.
Bubble Bobble, like
That
yo,
was a
still
dope
to this
game.
day,
I
like
like that game.
I tried playing that game not too long ago. That game is hard as shit.
Yeah.
it is so hard, but that's where I remember it tuning in for me. I remember a punishment of mine, like if I did something stupid. Obviously, I'm an adolescent boy. I'm 5-6 years old. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't allowed to play my video games, which
Yeah.
was my stepfather's, and it was in his bedroom.
Okay.
It wasn't even in my room. It was
Yeah.
in his room.
Okay.
So like that's where mine really started off.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's sort of the lack of having it in front of me.
Yeah. But then that
That
probably made
made
you
me
want it
intrigued.
more when you got older and like, hey, I could buy this shit myself now.
Listen, man, that's what I do.
Yeah.
That's literally what I do. I pride myself on it now.
Yeah. So my little story starts with my cousin. So my cousin Lenny, back in like when I was a kid, I think he was the first one I knew that got the NES, and I just used to watch him play. Like I was too like they didn't let me play because I was too young, but I just watched him play. And so one day he actually gave me a controller, and I actually started playing. The first game I played was Mario Brothers. And then my mom and my dad got us when they were together. That was many moons ago.
Many moons ago.
They got us a Sega Master System,
Okay.
and because I could see now, like looking at it wise, I'm like, yeah, it was a lot cheaper than NES, but it came with games, and the NES didn't at the time. So I was like, I thought about it when I was older. I was like, why did I get the Sega Master? Like, how the fuck they know about the Sega Master System? And then I really thought about it. Is like this that was the first C system that actually came with like 3 games built inside.
Yeah.
It had like a gun game. It had a cooler blaster than the Nintendo as well. Like
Well,
the
the
blaster
only
looks like a
three
laser
game
tag.
that I remembered for NES was Mario, it was Duck Hunt, and then that track racing
The track
thing.
field. So the
Yeah.
Sega Master System used to come with Hang On, which is that motorcycle game, and that this gun game, and then I think it was Alex the Kid that was built inside the system. So whenever you just turn it on, you already have 3 games to choose from. It was cool. And then Sega did something different as well, is the fact that they not only did they have cartridges, they had these chips that you put in and that had a game inside as well. So there was people making the cartridges and there were people making chips. So you was able to get like a couple of different games. As I got older, I looked more into it because I actually got a Sega Master System as I got older. Just the fact that it was my childhood. It was the first system I actually owned. And then the second system I owned was NES, which I had to share with my sister. But the Sega, I think all the systems I got when I was a kid, I had to share with my sister, so that was the big thing. But the Sega
So
Master System was unique.
so but I was telling you, like my brother's dad
Yeah,
had the NES. Now, neither here or there. Relationships didn't work out. My mother wasn't with them any longer. So when you were just talking about like all the Sega,
Yeah.
the Sega stuff, like I played actually for somebody who didn't own it.
yeah,
I played so much Sega at everybody else's house.
yeah,
Because everybody that I knew had a Sega. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like my cousins had a Sega. I remember like Arrow the Acrobat. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like I remember like the Jurassic Park game.
yeah,
And I think the games that really took it over for me for like that Sega time. Now, keep in mind, I don't own it, so I'm just playing what everybody else did. It would be like like the Mortal Kombats, and it would be like a Road Rash.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like Road Rash consumed so much of my life. That Sonic, and I still remember to this day for Sonic and Tails. How you get to the last board without actually having to go through
yeah. You
the
said it
whole
randomly
thing.
one day.
Yeah, bro, I remember it like the back of my hand. You go down, you go to settings, and this is Sonic and Tails. You go to
Yeah.
settings, and then you go down to the music where you click up one, press the button, and you hear like the sound, the chime of the game. So you'd go 19, 65, 9, 17. Press A and C at the same time. Like you go not 9, hit the A button, hear the sound.
Yeah,
19, 65, so go to 19, hit A. 65, hit A. You know what I mean?
yeah,
9, hit A. 17, hit A and C at the same time, and you go directly to the last Dr. Robotnik.
yeah,
And that was something that I prided myself on through to these years, because a lot of people don't know that.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And this is coming from somebody who never even had the system. I
Yeah.
own it now, of course,
mm-hmm.
but growing up, I'd never had it. My first system that was actually me, like somebody bought it for me and I owned it, was Nintendo 64.
Okay.
My mother got that for my birthday,
Yeah.
and I still own that same exact console still to this day.
Yeah. So yeah, I started with the Sega Master System. Then we got a Nintendo for Christmas, and honestly, I fell in love with Nintendo, and I think the Nintendo is the system that I probably had the most fondest memories of because I have had more time with that system more than anything. From NES, I went to Sega Genesis. I'd never owned a Super Nintendo until I got older.
Yeah,
And
I got mine when I was older as well. And Frank gave me mine. But that system I have more games for than any other system.
yeah, the funny shit is like I remember a lot of like the little input codes. Like I remember Sonic the Hedgehog for the dual bug mode was like up C, down C, left C, right C. Then you hold A and start, and then you get like a whole dual bug mode that you can change into the shit that's in the game, and you could just fly through the stages and shit. And then Contra, everyone knows the Contra code. It's up, down, down, left, right, BA. Start.
Actually, I didn't. My brother's father, right? His father, we used to go over his house, and he was married to a woman and her son. I used to go over there, and I would play like Fight Night. You know what I mean? And not Fight Night. I mean like Punch Out.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and it would be Contra, and Contra like used to whoop my ass. I've never beat Contra ever, and he even punched in the code to get me to the last level, which you were just talking about. And I remember him doing it, and it used to be so hard to actually get it, like precisely on point at the right time. You had to do the code and then hit the buttons at the right time. And I remember only doing it a couple times. That's definitely one game I need to get, and I need to go back and revisit.
Punch Out?
No, Contra.
Contra is a fun game. They do have the remaster classic, like it has all the Contra games in one thing. I think it's on sale right now for like $5.99 on the PSN store. Okay. It has it has the original
PSN
and arcade.
My PSN is not in my hand right now. I'm dealing with the Xbox One in my bedroom.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it should be on. Actually, it might be on sale on Xbox as well. Because Konami in general is having a sale on that. But yeah.
But out of NES, Super Nintendo, and Sega, what do you think at that time? Because those were the dominant consoles.
Yeah.
For that era of like the 80s and the 90s, like what was the number one console for that time for you? What did it?
If I had to like really pick something that like stood with me for a long time that I could go back and still play it, surprisingly, might be the NES. I think the NES stood the test of time, and I think that was a longevity console too, because they didn't stop making games till like 95, 96.
Those systems and games are almost indestructible.
Yeah. You
really have to like really go out of the way and destroy them. You know what I mean? Like you can take that console right now to Game On. Here's another nod to Game On, but they will open it up, clean it out, do everything, and that will be a working console no matter the situation, because those things they made so much of them.
They just became like more simpler to break through the times. Nintendo always made a sturdy console though.
Well, yeah, because they are the beacon of what games are. I feel, like the Mario character himself is probably one of the most recognizable figures in all of like pop culture.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who Mario is, even if you don't play those games. You know who Mario is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, I'll say the NES mainly because it stood the test of time. But I do have a lot of love for the Sega Genesis. I think that was another one that was a big keystone to my growing up as a gamer and shit. Was the Sega Genesis, and when they made that the 6-button controller, God,
see, like the thing is with the Genesis is that they have 3 different generations of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, which one was the best?
My personal
big one, the big one with the slide one.
So,
like, I feel like that was the most durable.
So when Sega. I was a kid, when the one I love, and I think that's the one I rebought just to have, is the original one, the first one, just the fact that it had a headphone jack, and when I wanted to sneak and go play video games while everyone was sleeping, I was able to put my headphones in that jack and play fucking video games all day. So that was one of my favorite systems.
For a kid who wants to play video games at nighttime, past his bedtime, that works out beautifully. Like I remember that old console. You know what I mean? Like I actually like that old console better than the other two generations. You know what I mean?
I didn't like the other ones.
I get what the later generations did. You know, like it sets you up for the whole platform of Sega CD and Sega 32X. You know what I mean? Like, but the old one, like it just like I remember like it was yesterday. The black console with the brown trim going around, like, and all you did was slide the button back and forth. You didn't have to push it down. You didn't have to do nothing of the sort. Like I think that was probably the best Sega.
And I actually liked the Sega CD version of the original Sega CD version. That's the one I have. I still own that one, and that was the one that fit perfectly with that system.
Wait, so the Sega CD went with the first generation? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so there was two generations. There's one that was the side one, which went for with the second console, and then was the first one that just stacked on each other.
Yeah, they just stood there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the original Sega CD, it was a bottom piece that you so. If you actually look at your original Sega Genesis, right, on the right side, there's a little panel that you could open, and then you could take out the little plastic piece, and then you slide that into the Sega CD. You were able to do that with the smaller one, too, but it just looked retarded with the smaller one. But if you got the original one, that shit looked beautiful. It was just big. Like, you can't put it inside of, like, a thing. You need its own space.
Yeah. But that's good. It deserved its own dominance, you know what I mean? Like, but like for NES and Super Nintendo and Sega, for me the one that really stood out the most was Super Nintendo, and the reason specifically why is because of one game. It was Mario All Stars.
Okay.
You know what I mean? To have the option to play the first three Marios, which is the highest ranking games on Nintendo. You know what I mean? I think still to this day, Mario 3 is the greatest game ever made.
I can argue with that. Like it was one of my favorite ones.
It's like literally even for like the nowadays Wii games and Switch games.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those Mario games that take from the Mario 3 legacy. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't have the raccoon tail without Mario 3.
I think.
And
go ahead. Finish what you're saying, then I'll chime in.
Yeah, like, so for me, Super Nintendo, just because of that, like, I used to go to a youth council when I was a kid because I had nothing to do. I was so bored. So I would go to the youth council and sit there and just play Super Nintendo all day. I would play, like, Street Fighter 2, and then after a while, it would get boring, and you just want to switch to the next game, and I played Mario Tennis, and I play Turok, the original Turok, and stuff like that, and it just didn't do it for me. So, like, Mario All-Stars, literally, to me, out of the Sega, the NES, and the Super Nintendo, is what is, like, the best thing that came out of the three. Is the game. Yeah. So the game goes to the console.
And those, honestly, if you actually really think about it, that was the first kind of remaster.
Yeah, because they weren't actually original to the game.
No, like, they remastered it.
You can pop on the NES version of them, and they are They are the same, yes, but they are different.
They
like,
enhanced
with the layout
their graphics,
and the way they look.
The sprites were different.
And growing up, you didn't really realize that until you went back and played the NES one.
Well, I know. I mean? Yeah, I noticed it. I noticed it right away because Mario had color, and he wasn't just red and brown. He was actually blue and red.
Like, holy shit, he has character.
He has. It was so. Mario All Stars. Honestly, I would say Mario All Stars was the first remaster. If you really look at it, it was the first remastered game. It was pretty much a remake of the original game with the new sprites of what Mario 2 and Mario 3 were using. And all those games were remastered to it. I have the one with Mario World, so I have all 5 games in one. Because you had lost levels in there, too.
I have Super Mario World. I have that for the Super NES.
I have the Mario All-Stars with it.
I never beat that game. I never beat it, so...
Why you haven't even beat it? Go beat it. After this cast, you go beat it.
Yeah, but, to be completely honest, just to make this cast as real as possible, out of the 3 original Marios, I never beat the second one. Still to this day. I have it saved right now on my Super Nintendo. I have it saved right now.
Yeah.
I'm on World 6. I've never made it up to World 6 in my life. Because a little fun fact, Mario 2 wasn't supposed to be Mario.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was supposed to be this Indian. It was like an Indian dude. That's where all the flying carpet stuff comes from.
Yeah, Toki something. I forget the full name of it, but it was
they did not think that it was going to sell in America, so they just threw in the Mario characters.
Well, that's the way you was able to sell in America, just throwing the Mario.
Yeah, no, that's why they did it. Like, to me, like, that game, it's so much fun, but once you get up to a certain point and you were playing for hours and you just can't get past, this one ice board that's fucking you up.
So the original name is called Doki Doki Panic.
Doki Doki Panic?
Doki Doki Panic, yeah.
But that is the only Mario game of the original 3.
Okay.
Because we're talking NES is the originals of the Marios. It only went up to Mario 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure there was a Yoshi game on NES, but it wasn't Yoshi Story.
Yoshi Cookie.
It wasn't Yoshi Story.
It was Yoshi Cookies. It was like a Tetris kind of game.
Okay.
It was with cookies, and you had to get the cookies right and shit like that. That was the one that came out for Yoshi. So you talking about Mario 2 never finishing it. This is the thing I'm going to start on this podcast, the Game of Rage podcast. I feel that me and you should challenge each other to beat one of these retro games.
Okay.
And if we could Twitch it, I'll Twitch it if I possibly can. If not, we'll pretty much come back to it and we'll talk about our experience with the video game itself. So you'll give me something that you think I haven't played or maybe played, but you will like to see what my reaction was, and I'll give you something to play and you finish it like that. And I think that could bring a lot of conversation with the cast as well.
I already got the game for you too.
Okay.
And it's a Sega game.
Okay.
Sonic Pinball. You hate it. I know you hate it.
Oh, fuck. All right, yeah.
I know you hate that game.
Okay.
We spoke about this. I want you to play that game. And I will go to Game On and I'll hit up Tristan myself and I'll buy the game.
I have it.
You know what I mean?
I have it. Yeah, I have it I have a Sega collection on the PS4. It has it has Sonic Pinball, it has all the Sonics and all that shit. Yeah, I have it.
I just know that that is one game that I played a lot.
Okay.
A lot. Like when I first got my first Genesis, I was 16 years old. And that was one of the games that I played a lot, and I busted that game's ass.
Okay.
I broke it piece to piece. I played it all the time.
Okay.
That and the Animaniacs game.
I finished that game. I used to own that game.
I used to play that, and then there was like a bank robber game that was like very Warner Brothers-y.
Yeah.
I remember that, but I forget the name of it.
So.
But I'm with that.
Okay.
Like, but why don't you put the words where your mouth is? Let's. I never beat Mario 2, so now my thing is I go and beat Mario 2.
So all right, so that'll be my challenge for you. I'll give you Mario 2. Like you could beat Mario 2. And then again, we'll come back. The next cast we'll come back and we'll talk about our experiences with each game, and where we rate it. We'll give it a review. We'll give it a verdict.
Yeah, I'm definitely down. I mean, if you're a dedicated retro video gamer, it shouldn't take you more than a day to finish the game.
Yeah.
If you're like really in it, you know what I mean. Like
yeah.
if you have the luxury of sitting there and actually playing
a
game all day.
I'll
You
try to
know what I
Twitch
mean?
it. I'll try to put it on Twitch. So if you follow Merc with the Mic on Twitch TV, I will probably play Sonic Spinball on there, and you can see me curse the game out and be angry at the game.
I just know that you don't like that game. I remember
I
you
hate that game.
specifically telling me. And I bet you didn't even think that I even remembered that.
I don't know, but I hate that game. But yeah, 100% I'll play it, and you play Mario
I'll
2.
play Mario too. I
And
mean,
then the next time
I got my Super Nintendo already set up. But I owned an NES, and I owned the original version of Super Nintendo 2. Shout out to Sally Beebs.
Yeah.
I mean, Super Mario 2. Sally Beebs is the one that hooked me up for that. So shout out to Sally Beebs.
Shout out to Sally Beebs. He's the Drunken Yeti on Twitch TV. He's trying to get his channel back up and running. So go follow him. Go give him a like and watch his stuff.
Yeah, you know, love begets love. You feel me?
Yeah.
You show it as you receive it. But
So,
he hooked me up with a whole bunch of video games, and he just got an N64. So
yeah.
You know, he hooked me up. So I went out and I bought him the essential N64 games.
Yeah.
But he did give me the original Mario 2. So I will use that instead of the All-Stars.
Okay.
You know, like, I want to go legit with it. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Like, let's not do, you know, like, yeah, I have the Super Nintendo where I have the remastered version of number 2. No, let's go back to the original.
Okay.
And see what it is. So, like, that's the way I'm going to work that. I think that's pretty cool.
So, so these are, you know what? We could put rules on. You must go straight through every single level.
Yeah, no, there ain't no jumping behind and skipping. No, you have to go literally every step of the way.
Okay. So that'll be the
Every step
rules.
of the
Like,
way.
you had to go through every single level. You had to experience the whole game. If you happen not to beat the game, that's fine. It's no big deal. I'll just talk shit to you.
Jot down how many times it took you to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We'll give a count of how many times we died, how many times it took us to continue, and so far. I think that's a good idea. I think that would be a fun idea for this cast.
And it would be pretty cool if any of the listeners out there, you know, we pick a console.
Yeah.
And they could name a game for us to play.
Yes.
And then we go and see what they're talking about. You feel me? So it makes me and you test each other, and then it also makes the crowd and the audience make us work for this as well.
Especially if the game is accessible. So if you're picking a game like Freddy Nightmare on Elm Street, and that's almost a $90 game, I'm going to say fuck you.
I can get it for $60.
It's still $60. I'm not paying $60.
I've never beat that game, but I used to borrow it from my neighbors, Lori and Teresa. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make sure at the end of this cast that I tag them in on this.
Yeah.
Because they will be ecstatic the fact that I just brought them up. Because, you know, I haven't seen them in 20 years.
Yeah.
But we still interact on Facebook and stuff like that. And they were the ones who put me on to the Nightmare on Elm Street game. And that game is messed up.
Yeah.
That game is so fucked up. Like, I love it. I never beat it. And that would be one thing that I would also... That's one personal goal later on that I want to get through is that game.
Yeah. So, so I think that's going to be a good thing to do on each cast, is that we're going to challenge each other to a game, and then it gives us time to play it, try to beat it, or just try to play it just to see if we still could like it or anything like that, and we'll give our review towards the next cast. So, so this week I'll be playing Sonic Spinball, and this week
I will play Mario 2.
There you go.
I'm actually really excited about that. That's cool as shit.
Yeah, so I think that's a good idea. I think this is the place to do it, and we're gonna do it. I think we're gonna have guests on the show. I think Mike is gonna come on the show a lot because he's a big retro game person himself, and we'll get more people on and things like that, and we'll probably do the challenges with them as well. So it'll be something cool to do. I like that. I like the idea.
It just made it interactive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It went from a podcast to a potential visual. You know,
So
I don't have access to Twitch and stuff like
yeah,
that, so I don't know how any of that works. But when this whole quarantine thing ends up, maybe me and you can do a head-to-head Tetris.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
okay. So
That's something. That's something that you can Twitch off of your Switch.
yeah, I could switch. Yeah, exactly. So that's a good idea. I think that's something that like that. And then when quarantine starts out like that, honestly, if I go towards you and hang out with you, I could teach you how to do the Twitch stuff, and that's something that you could possibly do when you're bored.
Hey man, when you come out here, we can go to Game On and then film us doing the actual arcades.
Yeah. So this is
And
something.
bring that up.
So this is something I actually really. This is something that really I wanted to do, and this is the reason why I brought up the podcast with us. Is the fact that I would like to do videos of going to retro game stores and picking up stuff, showing the stuff we get, and things like that. I think us getting into a community of retro friends of people that are like retro gaming and things like that, I think it's fun. I think honestly, when I went my first experience going into Game On, I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a really fun experience. I liked the people there. It was very friendly, and everything. Honestly, this is my first video game like retro game store that was actually clean. There was no dust. There was no like anything on the covers. Everything was prestiged.
Nah, Tristan does not play, man. He
No.
definitely, and he knew of you. They knew
Yeah.
of you. So when you came in, it's not like you were just like that was your first physical being in the store.
Yeah.
But you've been an avid sharer and
Yeah.
supporter of Game On to the point, he hooked you up.
Yeah.
He hooked you up the first day that you were
Yeah.
there, man. You walked away with a nice, decent load of games. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, he gave me Tony Hawk's Underground for free, and that's an awesome game. So it also gets me wanting to buy some more of the retro systems that I don't have anymore. There's a lot I don't have anymore. So, like I'm looking to buy an N64. I'm looking to buy a PS2. Maybe original Xbox as well. But then again, most of the games on the original Xbox play on the Xbox One right now. So I'm like, I don't really need that now. But
I just need the couple more, and then I have every physical. I need just so everybody out there in Games of Rage land right now.
yeah,
I own every American console except for Sega CD, 32X, Sega Saturn, Xbox One, the original Xbox.
okay,
Everything else I have. So like my thing is now I'm collecting the games for them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I don't have Atari. I don't. But my cousin in Florida has 3 of them, and he said he was going to ship one up.
Okay.
2700.
yeah.
Atari 2700.
So yeah, this is pretty much like a kind of a shoot the shit episode in a way, and it's like a pilot episode to see just what we're gonna do. And I actually like the way we're going with this, and I think it's gonna be a fun cast. And just I actually kind of want to keep going with this, and like every week we'll come up with something new and things like that. One thing I think I want to add to the cast, and every cast we do, is a top 5. I want us to pick a particular system or a particular genre, and pick our top 5 games of that.
Okay.
Or top
I mean,
top 5 worst.
Man, see the thing is, I can probably do the top games. I don't. I only know as much as I played through everybody else growing
it's
up.
the games
you know
that
what
you
I mean?
like. It's the 5 games you like. Not anyone
Yeah,
else.
I
likes.
mean, I'm with it. I'm with it
Okay.
100%. And like I already, as we're talking about this, it's already the storm is brewing in my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So before we end this cast, I think it gives you some time to really think about it. I will say, what are your top 5 Sega Genesis games?
Top 5 Sega Genesis games. Hands down, number 1 is Road Rash 2.
Road Rash 2. That's a good one.
Road Rash 2, man, I played that game so many times. And I was just so nice with it. And I remember going to my mom's friend's house. She used to babysit me, and I used to play that game religiously. So number one definitely would be
Road Rash 2.
Road Rash 2. Then I would say I would say Sonic 2. Sonic
Okay.
2 was that is definitely a top tier game. It's literally sort of the face of Sega to me. You know what I mean? It's the Sonic games. Number three, I think would be that X-Men game.
X-Men or X-Men 2? Oh.
The X-Men game.
I
The
know
one
exactly.
with like
Yeah, X-Men.
Gambit on the cover.
Yeah.
That I remember that very clearly. I remember busting my ass in that, losing a lot. I don't think I've ever beat that game as well,
Yeah.
but I remember having good memories with that. Sonic Pinball. Sonic Pinball to me was just like I just don't know what it was about it. Like I just liked the pinball games. You know what I mean? Like I used to play them all the time. They're actually around the block from my house. Back in the day, now I'm living in a town that I actually grew up in, and then I moved out after high school and stuff, and then I just moved back a couple of years ago. So I've been out of here for like 10, 15 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there used to be a video game. So I say retro now, but it was relevant at the time.
Yeah.
I used to go in there, and they had a pinball machine in there. So anybody who beat the top score got a free rental. You know what I mean? So I used to constantly play that. You know what I mean? So Sonic Pinball is there. I know there's so much better games than that game.
No, but it's games to you. That it's not games in review or anything like that. It's games that the top 5 games you played.
So actually, I would take pinball out, and I would put Aero the Acrobat in pinball,
and
then I would do Animaniacs for the 5th one.
Okay.
I think the Animaniacs game was funny. It was fun, and if you actually watched the show, it was pretty on point with like the WB era.
It was a hard game.
You know what I mean? Like it. Oh, it was so hard. Definitely was. But that off the top of my head right now, those were my games that I played a decent amount. I know there's definitely games that are better than that. Like Castlevania. We all know Castlevania is a fucking badass game. You know what I mean? Like Terminator. I remember the Terminator game. I played that a couple times. You know what I mean? But Aero the Acrobat, I played a lot, and I loved it. I thought it was so much fun.
Yeah.
So that would be my 5.
So
at the moment in time, it might change throughout time.
Yeah.
But at the moment in time, those are my 5.
My 5 will start off with my number 1 would be Sonic 2. I have played that game and beaten that game so many damn times, and I enjoy every moment of it. I enjoy the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack of Sonic 2, and that's probably one of my favorite soundtracks besides my number 2. My number 2 is Streets of Rage 2, which our Game Pass is kind of based on. But yes, I loved it. Again, that was another game. That was probably one of my favorite beat 'em ups. I like between this and Final Fight, Streets of Rage all the way. I love Streets of Rage. I love the beat. I love the music. I love the style. I love everything they do with that game, from the first one to the last one. And now, if you look at our podcast cover, it's the 4th one, which I'm looking forward to. And I probably will buy it next week. But Streets of Rage 2 would be definitely my number 2. Comic Zone would be my number 3, which I thought it was a very unique game.
I remember that game. I only played it like once or twice, but I remember it.
Yeah, it was an interesting game. It was pretty hard, but it was like you pretty much were going through the comic strips and like through the stages and shit, which was actually pretty cool. So that would be my number 3. My number 4 will be Gunstar Hero. This was a unique. If you ever played, I'll say Sunset Riders, it was very similar to that. Like it was kind of you're shooting on all direct. Oh, like Contra in a way, but it was a anime looking character.
A first person side shooter.
No, it was a it was a side scroller. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was actually a really fun game, and that would be my number. That was like number four,
4.
right?
Yeah.
And number five will be Shinobi, the Shadow Dancer. Shadow Dancer was it was like a prequel of Shinobi. It was a connection to Shinobi, but it was Shinobi with a dog, and you used the dog to like get people like the distractions and shit like that. I actually thought that game was awesome. I will just say one honorable mention to Earthworm Jim.
Oh, I have an honorable mention as well. I was gonna
Yeah,
add it in at the end of this, but
yeah.
continue.
My honorable mention was Earthworm Jim, the first one on Sega Genesis. That was the best version of that game. So go ahead.
My honorable mention is the Beavis and Butthead game because that is the first game that I played on Game Genie,
Yeah.
and I own it still in a box. It's open, but I have the original box and the original everything.
Yeah.
And it's the one game I refuse to play because I own it in a box and I don't want to take it out.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really make any sense, but but that's my that's an honorable mention, I would say.
Yeah.
I used to play Jurassic Park a lot though too,
yeah.
which was fun.
So we'll go into maybe the what we have. We have Streets of Rage pretty much on the cover of this cast and everything like that. And I'll say that was one of the beat 'em ups that I really enjoyed, especially when growing up and on a console. Oh
That
shit,
and Renegade.
Renegade was good.
Renegade was literally right there with it.
I liked
what I mean?
Renegade. I liked Renegade. I liked what was it? River City Rampage.
Yeah. No, it's Rampage. I'm pretty sure. I know exactly what you're
No,
talking
Rampage is the one with the monsters and shit.
about. So then I might not know what you're talking
Yeah, River City Ransom or something. I think it was River City Ransom. That actually makes more sense. That was pretty much kind of like the origins of what GTA became. Yeah, River City Ransom. That's what it's called. And it was like a mixture of like a kind of a GTA Double Dragon-ish kind of stuff.
One thing I would like to implement per cast is the acknowledgement of a certain game that you feel that changed things. You feel me? Like I feel like there's been so many games that set the standpoint at the time. You know what I mean? Like, what do you feel that was a game, and this could be for any console. What do you feel that was just a stamp? Was just like it made its name. You know what I mean? And it changed things.
So the obvious answer is going to be Mario, right? But I want to put Mario not today. I want to put Sonic.
Like for me, I think like a standpoint game, and I'm gonna go wrestling. I think for the N64, the first THQ. You know what I mean? What was that? Mayhem. Mayhem was the first one.
No, first THQ wrestling game on N64 was WCW versus NWO World Tour.
And then that went to Revenge, and that led to WrestleMania 2000.
Yeah.
And then it led to No Mercy.
Yep.
So like I feel like that was one of those stamped games that did it. You know what I mean? That changed the face of games. You know what I mean? You feel where I'm trying to get at with that?
No, 100%.
Yeah, obviously, you know damn well Mario is...
Yeah.
Mario changed shit, but that Mario is more of the poster child.
Yeah.
Than he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I went with Sonic. I think Sonic was a unique batch of games, as in the soundtrack, the style, the speed. And those are the things you didn't get at the time with any video games. Like the feel of speed of how he ran in the game was unique into anything else.
But the score of it too, like what would Sonic be without the music behind it?
Oh, Sonic music was the best. Like even Sonic 3, Sonic 3 was produced like Michael Jackson, the third one. So basically a lot of music was produced by him. But Sonic 2, I honestly think Sonic 2 is my favorite soundtrack throughout the whole thing. Like, I can actually listen to that soundtrack on my, like, Spotify.
I remember Emerald Forest. Like, there's no, like, I
Yeah,
remember that.
Emerald Hill. Yeah.
Emerald Hill.
That was
yeah,
such a
what was the
iconic.
forest?
Yeah, it was an iconic theme. Emerald Hill, that's what it's called. But yeah, that's such a iconic thing. Like, that's the one that always starts the game and pretty much gets you into the game. I know Crystal Cave was one of my Mystic Cave was one of my favorites on Sonic 2.
Yeah, that was definitely a hard one.
Yeah, Chemical Plant was a cool theme.
Tails really fucking came in with Mystic Cave.
Yeah.
Tails was like, you needed to utilize her a little bit more.
Yeah. He's a he.
You know what I mean? Like, he's a he.
It's a he. Yeah.
Man, he, her, whatever. Really.
But yeah, I think Sonic. I'll give Sonic the credit for this and on this cast, just the fact that it was a game about speed. It was a game about the music. It was a game about just having fun and just enjoying the music while you're playing, like while you're running and going fast in these damn stages and stuff like that. And I think it did build its own franchise and being a rival to Mario. Like, I think Sonic for the longest time was that enemy to Mario. Like,
oh, it definitely was 100%. If you were to think of the counterpart of Mario,
yeah,
it would be Sonic.
Not as much now because you see Sonic on Nintendo, but like back in the day, it was Sonic or Mario. If not, we're gonna fight.
Mario had a wrench and fucking Sonic can run his ass off.
Yeah.
Which I just watched the Sonic movie the other day.
I really love that movie.
It reminded me, it made a lot of things more sense to me because, I grew up loving the Flash.
Yeah.
And you know with the history of the Flash that he runs fast enough where time stands still and he can walk around.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So the Sonic movie, he actually did that. Yeah. And I was like, that is like perfect because that's what I envisioned a super speedster that Sonic is to do. So I think they orchestrated that very well.
That movie was a fun movie.
I do agree. And Jim Carrey's the man.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, my defining game is WCW versus NWO.
Yeah.
First THQ, and that set the wave, I'd say.
Sadly, you wish it set the wave, and a lot of games will be very similar to it, but it kind of stopped at Def Jam Vendetta 2 because the company stopped making
games. First off, those games are amazing.
Yeah, they are.
They're amazing.
But that was the last game that used that engine.
Yeah, well, that's what's lacking these days is true story in wrestling games.
And also just the gameplay. I thought the gameplay was very unique. I love the gameplay of No Mercy, and I'll say No Mercy. I'll defend No Mercy to the day I die, kind of thing. Is the fact that it was a game that you had to work your guy, you had to work your opponent, you had to use your light moves, then go to heavy. You had to work on the legs, work on the arm.
You had 3 storylines per championship mode.
Yeah.
And it was so hard to max them out because one small win can alter everything. You know what I mean? Like, but it was the first game where you got to see like going in the back. You know what I mean? Like, that could be for a future kind of game that changed things.
Yeah.
You feel me? Because it doesn't necessarily have to stop with WCW versus NWO because THQ started that engine. You know what I mean? But that was the engine to me that changed things. That game, No Mercy in itself, deserves its own cast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I agree. But your pick is I agree 100% with that pick. Like, I like No Mercy. I actually love WCW versus NWO World Tour. Like, I actually really love that game because
I loved Revenge. Revenge. I thought Revenge was amazing.
So, like, WCW World Tour, the reason why I love that game because they had a lot of indie wrestlers in it that no one knew about. Like, they had Hayabusa, they had Abdul the Butcher, they had fucking Rey Mysterio, they had Ultimo Dragon, they had They had
Taka.
Justin Thunder Liger. They had like guys from Japan and that never actually been in
Takamichi
America
Oshu,
being
whatever.
on the game.
Takamichi Oshu, whatever the hell his name
Takamichi
is.
Naoku.
Yeah, Takamichi
He
no.
still wrestles. He's in New Japan.
Well, those Japanese guys, they don't know when to stop. So.
Yeah. But yeah, like I give that one credit. Like they started a good, a strong game engine that stood the test of time because to this day people still fucking love No Mercy.
And still to this day, that in this cast, we can really duplicate a game that changed time. You know what I mean? Because I mentioned the THQ. This game doesn't mean that, like I said, No Mercy deserves its own cast.
Yeah.
It's that serious of a game. But I wanted to accent on the game format, and if you want to give a nod to what created one of the greatest wrestling games ever, you have to go with the WCW vs NWO, the first THQ.
Yeah.
So that's mine. You know what I mean? And I think that would be a nice little segment as well, because we can go forever.
Yeah.
With games that really revolutionize things. We talking Resident Evil, GoldenEye, this, da da da. We can go for days.
Yeah.
For games that really put a stamp on culture for video gaming, which leads us up to today. You know what I mean?
So yeah. So there'll be some segments we'll have in this cast. So we have the games we will play. We have the top 5, and we have the most influential games throughout time. That's good. I think we got.
I think I think we got a good solid. This is a good pilot to a video retro game cast. You know what I mean?
Yes. So as we have all these things, great. I think we should. That's it.
Yeah, leave it on a high, right?
Yep. So yes, this is the Game Rage podcast. What was it?
Games of Rage.
The Games of Rage podcast. I fucked the whole up. The Games of Rage podcast by Red Cycle Inc. I'm Mark with the mic. That's Tenacious T. You can follow
Always
us.
Gives a big shout out to Game On.
Yes.
Retro video game stores located in Smithtown and Miller Place of Long Island.
Yes.
Due to this quarantine right now, they're doing curbside pickup, and they're also shipping, which they don't normally do.
I might actually order some shit from them. I've been meaning to.
Just because the world has gone to shit does not mean that we don't need our retro video game needs.
Yes.
So definitely shouts out to Game On, shout out to Tristan, long time lover of our cast, and a good friend of mine. Shows me love every time I see him, so I will always give him a nod on any cast that I am in.
And honestly, I'll say they're the encouragement to make this cast. Like, I honestly really was thinking about this cast when the last time I went over there.
Hey, listen, man, that one little interaction.
Yeah.
Where you got a little inkling of my world, because obviously you don't live where I live.
Yeah.
So.
Like I have a couple of shops. I have a couple of shops here that I know a lot of the owners and shit like that. Like I have Video Games New York. I have J&L, but I like the home body. Like you talked about it. Like I wanted to see it myself because I just wanted to see how their style is and whatnot, and I really enjoyed it.
They have a setup of 4 TVs.
Yeah.
In the center of the room that you just walk in, you can play any game that you want just to play. They got 4 arcade games sitting up. And I literally go there just because they have retro video game offs. You know what I mean? Like you go, and if you're one of the first people there, and you link up with one of the avid people who come there. You know what I mean? And you have a game off where Tristan will give you $20 of store credit if you beat a series of games. Like you have to beat one level of one game and then switch the game and then beat another level of this game and then do that. Like I spent more time behind the counter than I have buying games. You feel me? Like that. Yeah. That is like, I was born on a Saturday, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Game On and play some fucking video games. And even when Tristan's not there, fucking Brian's there, and I sit there, and I'm like, yo, let me play this game, and I'll pop it on, and I'll be the only person in the store playing for 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it, the whole place is based off of like your childhood feeling love for video games. Why not just sit in a carefree zone and just play some video games?
There you go.
You know what I mean?
There you go. Yes.
So always a shouts out to them.
Yes. I'll put a little shout out to our pretty much picture of the podcast. It's just Streets of Rage 4. Comes out April 30th. So if you're a fan of Streets of Rage, definitely pick it up. This is not, I ain't getting paid for this. I just really excited for this game. So I would like to other people to play it. So this is, I'm Mark the Mike. That's Tenacious T. Follow us on all our social medias. Give us likes. Give us follows. Please share. And we'll try our best to bring more content and like that. Definitely check out our other podcasts. We have Shell Shock, which is our all Ninja Turtle podcast. We have the Morphin Cast, which is all Power Ranger podcast and Super Sentai. We have the Not a Trekkie, which is all Star Wars podcast, and we have
the
Wrestling Babble, and the Guest Badass Red podcast, the Everything and Everything podcast. So please give us a like, follow, subscribe. Give the Recycle Inc. YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, the Mark with the Mic, us subscribe. Just click the subscribe and hit the bell. It helps us out. It helps us build a community. We like comments. We like chats. Just let us know what we could do, what games we should play. Give us games that we should try out.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Give us a game that we should tackle.
Yes. So please follow all our social medias. I'm Mark with the Mic on Instagram, Twitch TV, and Twitch TV, Tumblr, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, all Mark with the Mic. Red Cyclone Inc. on everything, on WordPress, YouTube, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, and WordPress, all Red Cyclone Inc. Follow those as well, and follow Tenacious T where you at.
I am currently working on all those other sites that you stated.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm basically with you, just hand in hand with those sites. But I will be setting up my own Twitter of Tenacious T.
Just follow him.
Sites.
Just follow him in person.
When the time comes and I actually sit down and actually make all this happen. We'll put the links at the bottom, and then you can like, subscribe, whatever. Talk shit to me, I'll talk shit back. You feel me?
Just follow him. He'll be in Grand Central Monday at 11 o'clock. Just follow him. 6 feet away, though. Social distancing.
Listen, I'm the guy with the skeleton mask on all day.
All right. All right, so we're going to end this cast. Thank you for joining us for the Game of Rage podcast. This is our first episode. So I will be playing Sonic Spinball for this week. He will be playing Mario 2. And
which I'm so excited for, man. You make me want to beat it.
So we're going to come back to this cast when we record it. We haven't decided if it's going to be a weekly or bi-weekly, depending on how our recording sessions are.
Or how our lives are.
Exactly.
It's kind of clusterfuck, and we are doing a lot of podcasts.
So
right now.
sadly, the fact that the quarantine is happening and the fact that we have to stay home like that, it is giving us time to actually record. So we've been recording more podcasts. We have a lot of things coming out here and there, and we have an Shell Shock coming up. We have the Not a Trekkie that came out last week. We have the It Gets Badass Rep podcast and the Wrestling Rabble that's here every week. So we are getting cast nonstop. So basically, you always have content. Again, just give us a like, comment, subscribe, and help us out.
Go check out Sal the Drunken Yeti. Make sure you can check him out on Twitch.
Yes.
And make sure you follow Jankies.
Follow the Jinkies with a sandwich, and always remember. And this is for the Morphin Cast, but I don't give a fuck. Fuck Zordon.
Fuck Zordon.
Peace out, laters. And play Streets of Rage 4. Comes out the 30th. Please. Later.
Hey, play any Streets of Rage.
Yes.
I'll be happy.
I'm actually going to play through all of them. Peace out.
I'm going to play the Simpsons one.
Yes.
You guys be